Hi, everybody. I have Katie here. She's going to share with us just a little bit today. You know, it's really important for me here at our church that our church not just become a trophy for the righteous, that we actually are a hospital for the hurting sometimes. And what that means is that we have to be willing to talk to people about some difficult things. And, you know, this weekend we're going to be talking about shame, and I've asked Katie just to share a little bit about your process with dealing with shame. We all deal with it. I'm not picking on Katie. She just happens to be somebody that I've had open dialogue with and think would be great for you guys to hear from her. So first of all, just tell me why it's so important you think for us to share about our shame. It's a difficult subject, but why do you think it's so important for
Well, I think it's real important to bring it to the light and to share it with somebody, because from personal experience, it can be debilitating. It can affect every single relationship in your life, and it can affect you in the way of depression, or increase my anxiety, or it's increased depression, anxiety, and just my sense of self and my sense of identity in Christ has just been totally shackled by it. And it hurt. It was horrible. And I think it's important to break those chains, because that means it's from the devil and from the enemy. And Christ doesn't. I know that Christ loves me, and he wants my identity to be in him and not in these other things. And my identity in Christ is being the daughter of the one true King, or being a daughter of the one true King. And so,
Good. Hey, you're getting into my sermon. Wait a minute. So, just a couple things, and to kind of piggyback on part of that coming and sharing about your shame. You know, it's bringing it into a place of light instead of darkness. But people have a lot of anxiety thinking about doing that. What would you say to somebody who's having anxiety, doesn't know even who to talk to or where to go, or isn't even sure? Any direction that you would give around all that?
well, first is breathe deep. And be prayerful and mindful, and ask for God's guidance and who to share with. And he's going to lead you to someone, if you're listening, or even just can't listen because you're just being overwhelmed. A godly sister, if you're a woman, or a godly brother who can be supportive, understanding, and also trust. Trust is huge. If you can't trust the person you're going to be talking with about it and say, I have this problem, you shouldn't be talking to them. You need to be somebody who's godly and you can trust, because just because you know somebody doesn't mean you can trust them with that broken part of your heart. And God will work through people to help you with that. And so just breathe deep and find that person who God directs you to.
And that's what's difficult. Some of our life groups are going to be people who are, there's a lot of trust there. And maybe even people who've been together for a long time. There's just not, trust isn't quite there yet. But oftentimes, like you say, you find that person, and again, you can find that person through branches even. You can go the clinical route if you'd like to. But we want to be a place, each of our life groups, we want to be a place, and hopefully leaders will facilitate some of that to where there's open sharing and somebody can come to you and talk to you about these things. So finding somebody you trust is a huge deal.
Yeah, and it's a safe environment, making that time safe for both of you to do it, and where there's not all those interruptions that are so easy to have in life right now.
Right.
So, that safe environment is critical.
So let's say you're able to get over those hurdles. First of all, should I even share? Who should I share with? Once you address that, once you brought it into the light, once you talk about just the feeling that you have once you've shared about something that's been shame-filled. Again, it could be something that somebody did to you or something you've done. But once you've shared it and brought it into light, what comes to that person who shares?
I know I know that when I've shared some of the things that I have felt shame about in the past, just this incredible sense of relief, and just God's grace is so amazing. People have no idea, because the more you're dependent upon him, and the more that I, in desperation, reached out for him, and to find that godly advice and sister in Christ who's been able to love me and support me and pray with me, to help me come over it, the stronger my faith gets in the Lord.
Right.
And it's liberating, because then when somebody says something to me that's connected to what that issue is, I'm not blaming myself. I'm not feeling guilty. I'm getting rid of I've gotten rid of those shackles, because learning that, because if it's my behavior, I repent and going to the Lord, He forgives. But if it's because somebody else put something on me, my identity is not wrapped up in that. My identity is wrapped up in my faith and with God. And that is just irreplaceable. And it's just like, life is good again.
Yeah. And we talk about this. Part of it's a cycle. Sometimes you fall back into that pattern of thinking, and it's brought back up, and the enemy loves to accuse us of this stuff, even though it's already been taken care of at the cross. But it's a cycle. It's kind of a process, if you will, sort of like forgiving.
Yeah, it's a process of forgiving yourself too. I think is that if you don't forget, it's like, I think I said this one time. It's like I see it sometimes wrapped up in like, God's forgiven me for not some of my sins, but all of my sins. But sometimes I forget and I stop forgiving myself. And so that God's grace and forgiveness is permanent and unending, unlike my forgiveness for myself on some things. Right. And so I have to let that go.
That's really good. And so I'm thinking, there's somebody out there in our life groups, hopefully, that's watching this, and any more encouragement that you could give them to share about their shame, to get healing, so that they don't get stuck on that, because there's some people who've been stuck for years with things, and we're really praying that God would break those chains and free them. So any encouragement that you'd like to give?
If you're in doubt that you're feeling shamed, or if you have any anxiety or stress or depression, and you're connecting it to something that you're feeling guilty about because somebody told you were guilty, don't let that guilt from them be the one, because it's not guilt. You're feeling shamed. And if you can't talk about it, you're living in isolation. You have to have, God gave us each other to be the hands and feet of Christ, and ears. And so, just take a chance and reach out to somebody that you trust and you can build a safe space with, where you can share. And it's like, I really need to talk to you. And sometimes it will take you by surprise who you find up sharing, and it doesn't have to be a long-term friend. I mean, sometimes it's somebody who you barely know and you just feel like you need to talk to them. Take a chance. God took a chance with me, and He's taking chances he doesn't take a chance because He knows everything. Okay. But just take a chance and listen to where God's leading you to do that, and do it prayerfully.
Yeah.
Prayer is a huge part of finding someone to talk to.
And that's a lot of this too. Just to be reminded, we're talking about this spiritual battle area, and prayer is a huge part of that, and having wise people that you can go to, of course, and sharing. Well, thank you, Katie, for sharing with us today. Our hope is that this will encourage some of you out there who might watch this video and who are tentative about sharing, or what to take a step next. And maybe some of you ladies will see Katie on Sunday and maybe hit her up for a conversation. I don't know. But thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.